Hello, and thank you for taking the time to listen to my roundtable discussion. I will be diving into flipped learning and what it looks like in an elementary school classroom. First, I will discuss what it means and what it entails within a learning atmosphere. Then we will learn about some of the benefits and critiques, finishing with why it is becoming so relevant today and the implications flipped learning could have for the future of education. I was particularly interested in this topic because as technology continues to shape the way material can be received, it can also shape the ways in which it can be taught. Hopefully, after listening to this presentation, you can make your own decision as to whether or not this is a method you would like to implement in your own future classrooms. So, where did this idea come from? This methodology was pioneered by two Colorado chemistry teachers named John Bergman and Aaron Sams in 2007. Bergman is the Chief Learning Officer, while Sams is the Managing Director of flippedclass.org, and they are co-founders of the Flipped Learning Network. He and Sams also co-wrote the books Flip Your Classroom, Reach Every Student in Every Class Every Day, and Flipped Learning, Gateway to Student Engagement. The two educators shared one overriding concern, which was, what is the best use of face-to-face class time? This led them to advocate for inquiry-based and student-centered learning environments in which students are encouraged to demonstrate their understanding in ways that are meaningful to them. So what is flipped learning? It's a pedagogical approach that requires students to preview materials or self-study outside of the classroom. This commonly utilizes technology to create these learning platforms for students. So at home, teachers will create a video lecture or content video and then share with the students. The students then watch the lecture and prepare any questions they have for the teacher. Once at school, the teacher will facilitate discussions and answer any student questions, and the students will participate in a variety of learning activities. According to the Flipped Learning Network, this method aims to move direct instruction from a group space to the individual learning space. The resulting group space is then used as a dynamic, interactive environment where the educator can guide students as they apply concepts creatively to the subject matter. The educator in this case acts more as a facilitator to peer collaboration and learning, and the idea is to prioritize more active learning during class time so that students are engaged in curriculum they've already been introduced to and become somewhat familiar with. This independent instructional time is also sometimes referred to as passive learning, so active learning inside the classroom, passive learning at home. There are 4 pillars to flipped learning, and they go by the acronym FLIP, or FLIP. The first pillar, F, is flexible environment, and because flipped learning allows for the implementation of a variety of learning strategies, educators may need to physically adjust the setup of a classroom so that independent as well as group work is supported depending on the lesson or unit. Students choose when and where they learn within the classroom, so educators need to be flexible with their expectations of student timelines and their assessments of student learning. So a flexible environment is going to look like a physically altered space that's appropriate for whatever unit is being discussed. It's also going to have times allotted for student interaction and reflection, and multiple methods used to learn content as well as demonstrate mastery. So all in all, it's a very collaborative learning space, and if you look at this image, it's actually a demonstration of what this might look like in an elementary school classroom. The second pillar, L, stands for learning culture. Flipped learning shifts instruction from a teacher-centered model to a learner-centered approach. So class time moves away from traditional instruction so that it is dedicated to exploration in greater depth and creating rich learning opportunities. Because students become actively involved in the construction of their own knowledge, their learning can be evaluated in a much more personal way. So learning culture includes opportunities for students to engage in meaningful activities, and these activities are going to be scaffolded to make them accessible to all students regardless of their ability or skill level. And because these activities are scaffolded, there's going to be individual differentiation and feedback. So in order to maximize classroom time and develop methods of student-centered active learning based on grade level and subject matter, teachers need to use intentional content to help students gain conceptual understandings and utilize successful applications. To put it simply, every activity within the classroom should matter to the content the students are acquiring on their own, and vice versa. So there's a clear reason for the type of practice each student is engaged in. So this is relevant content that's differentiated based on the individual student, and content that the students have gone over prior to any activities in class. And lastly, we have the professional educator. So from what we've gone through so far, you may think this seems like a lot of additional work for the teacher, and well, it is. Professional educators that are familiar with this methodology are crucial to engaging students in flipped learning. The role of these teachers is often more important and more demanding because they are responsible for continually observing students and assessing their own work. These observations then help to inform future instruction and therefore are critical to being recorded regularly. So professional educators are available to all students, whether it's individually, in groups, or for class feedback. They're going to conduct ongoing assessments, and then they're going to collaborate and reflect with other educators so that they can take responsibility for transforming their own practice. So now that we know a little bit more about what flipped learning is and entails, let's discuss some of the benefits. In a flipped classroom, teachers are better able to manage discipline because they are not busy delivering a lecture to the entire class and can have focused attention on individual students. It's also been shown to improve self-regulation among students. In a 2022 study by Year 7 that collected reactionary data from both teachers and students said this methodology helped them improve due to the fact that they were practicing application rather than memorizing concepts. Based on my research, in most cases, flipped learning results in positive academic growth. It allows students to progress at their own pace while at the same time facilitating their learning and increasing permanence. Additionally, working towards a goal on their own facilitated greater motivation and pride for their academic success. Another 2021 study by Rachel Howell stressed the parallel relationship between flipped learning and active learning. Active learning has been shown to improve student performance by promoting creativity and critical thinking, providing feedback to teachers and students, and increasing student engagement, motivation, and even class attendance. Students taught using active learning report less surface and more deep approaches to learning than in traditional courses. Similarly, the cooperation and student collaboration of flipped learning promote self-esteem, social support, and interpersonal relationships through peer interaction, which in turn fosters a community around education. Having material that is watched outside of the classroom also allows for more parental involvement or family engagement, giving caregivers the opportunity to see exactly what their child is learning and how it is being delivered. Video lectures can increase this transparency and frame discussions with parents and teachers on learning instead of on behavior. Now looking at some critiques of this approach, the two most prominent are the fact that it relies on students to complete material prior to class time in order to be effective, and that it depends on access to outside resources that may not be available to everybody. The question comes up as to whether elementary school students can be responsible for the organization of their own learning. And due to income level or lack of internet access, many homes lack the necessary technology to view video lectures. Similarly, without technology proficiency, understanding content online can be difficult or frustrating for some students. And while one 2020 study found that more than 70% of students responded favorably to flipped learning, there were also students who found it to be more challenging than a traditional learning environment. It is thought that this approach works better for some courses than others as well. For example, it has been seen to be especially successful in STEM-related courses. And lastly, it takes time. Preparing video content for students at home while also organizing a variety of scaffolded activities within the classroom can significantly increase the workload of educators. So technological advancements and the ease of owning at-home digital devices has resulted in a new generation of students being more geared towards visual and kinesthetic learning. Even elementary school-age children are considered digital natives and have become accustomed to speed and efficiency, online social collaboration, and instant feedback. Following at-home learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, Many educators were forced to alter their approach in order to have the same educational impact online as they would have had in schools. This shift to online learning offered advantages to students such as time and flexibility. But as technology was incorporated into the learning sphere, teaching practices that supported this shift needed to be considered. Research has continued to shape how the role of educators impact the education of their students, and in flipped learning, these educators take a less direct and more guided approach inside of the classroom. This type of pedagogy has proved to maximize the use of teacher-supported face-to-face classroom-based sessions by delivering hands-on activities and individual scaffolding. Educators would be designing educational resources for their students to engage in autonomously. So, what are some of the implications for flipped learning in the future? First of all, it is important for educators and administrators to understand that flipped learning may not improve academic achievement, but it does create increased time for active learning and for higher order thinking. So the expectation should not be that student learning will be increased, at least on standardized tests, but rather that students are more engaged in learning and spend more time on higher order thinking skills in a flipped learning model, so that they are better prepared for the future. This includes many opportunities to test different methods of pedagogy and students, in turn, being receptive to these changes. When 21st century learner characteristics are examined in terms of education, especially knowledge management, effective use of technology, research skills, inquiry and communication all become prominent. Relying more on technology inside and outside of the classroom for more direct instruction can allow for different teaching strategies to be tested within the classroom. And because flipped learning entails scaffolding multiple activities to individual learner needs, it is found to achieve the greatest success with smaller classroom sizes. By limiting the number of students in future elementary classrooms, additional specific attention can be paid to the development of individual learners. Additionally, providing access to technological materials and internet access for students at home may need to be implemented across schools in order for flipped learning to be truly effective. Many schools have already begun this process following the COVID-19 lockdown by providing personal iPads for students to bring back and forth between home and school. Another way this pedagogy can be successful is by applying it to specific courses. This can be especially beneficial in testing the approach prior to a large-scale shift to a flipped classroom. By introducing the approach to one subject at a time, administrators can hone in on the benefits and determine its worth long-term. One thing is certain, research should be continued on this issue that takes into account multiple variables rather than just student achievement and assessment results. Because advancement in technology are only going to increase, it is important that this approach be thoroughly analyzed before attempting any large-scale implementation. So that just about wraps it up. These are all of the sources I used to research this topic, but I encourage you to conduct your own research if interested in learning more about this approach. The more I looked, the more I found, and there are so many resources for both information on flipped learning, as well as strategies that can be used inside of the classroom when attempting to make your pedagogy more student-centered. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to answering any questions you have on this topic.